Hello, it's JANG here with a look at the LEGO Bionicle Onua Uniter of Earth. Alright, he's back, and he doesn't look as odd this time around as he did in the 2015 original reboot version. Still has distinguishing features and factors to the design here, but is a little bit, well, is a lot more conventional and standard with the overall proportions of the build here. I like what they've done here with just the very simple little add-ons with some small Technic pieces and a couple of black inverted Borak eyes to add a little bit of width to the chest without adding on extra armor. My favorite thing about this set, for sure, with this version, is what they've done with the trans purple, yes, ribcage elements from last season that they brought in and just attached in very, very simple ways, but makes for nice shaping there. So overall, they've got good shaping here for the body. You know, it's still the widest body for this body size, so it's still looking stocky. Still has the extra thick Stormer XL sized feet, and the shoulder joints themselves are spaced out pretty far. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Doesn't look as unique as it did with the 2015 version, though. That's for certain. You know, with just the build, I think it would have been nice to go a little bit farther in some other direction, in some other way, but I think the major distinguishing feature here is what they've done with the shoulder this time. The head is based on the black color, which makes sense, of course, but then they blended it back into the silver, and you'll see different things happen with that, with just kind of how much of the silver actually blends into it. They didn't bring in too much, it looks like. Some folks will probably get some that have a little bit more silver in them. The eyes are pretty obvious. They use the trans light blue brain stock or eye stock color behind there. Those vents, ear holes you might call them, are huge. They really stand out on this one. I don't know, I'm a little bit neutral on the shape here. It has a little bit of a Darth Vader mask look to the front. You know, if you just kind of cut it off right about there, about that much of it, and then just imagine having a little bit of cut off from the top. Yeah, a lot of Darth Vader in it. Not that that's a bad thing, but I'm not feeling a whole lot of Onua, you know, traditional Onua in this, just myself. I think this main body armor piece works great in black as its main color. Still has so much depth to the piston texture bits that are in it that, you know, it still stands out, still looks well textured, even though it is a color that can easily make things kind of disappear. But there's enough there. It's moving light around in good ways, and the print here I think is pretty cool. Yeah, I think that the graphic style that they used across this entire line for this year, for this season, works pretty well, but this one in particular ties into the color scheme of the entire character really well. The legs are done very simply, but it's cool to get a piece that actually blends into clear, just regular trans clear. It's not something that you see done very frequently at all. Of course, they did blend it together with the with the gold there, but it's nice to see something that's unusual or just new, you know, something that's tried, and it works well. It has a very crystalline look. This thing here is an extra clip of ammunition, which is not focusing for some reason. There we go. It's just 6 extra studs to be used with a stud shooter setup, and just a real quick look at the feet, which don't really have anything special going on with them. Onua here has this crystal hammer, which has the stud shooter, actually a 6 shooter that's built into it on the other side, and this can actually be easily connected to both hands. So it's a drill hammer, and it has two functions to it. I mean, you've got kind of the drill side over here, but in this case, this actually works as the trigger. So you don't want to just spin this freely, because it will shoot the 6-shooter that's built in to the other side. So you could use this easily the same way that I suggested that you use the hammer that Ikimu came with, where as you strike the ground, you strike the ground and then spin this to get the studs to come off, and they look like sparks. When they kind of, you hit the ground, and just imagine little bits of crystal that are just sparking off and breaking off, so you get a little bit of a shrapnel effect. Or you can just use it as a projectile weapon, and because you can rotate this around freely, and you also have a rotation point in the shaft that allows the hands to be moved and rotated independently, you can play with this pretty easily and pretty effectively. You don't have to mess around and change the orientation of your different joints a whole lot to get different poses. So if I want to bring this up into more of a vertical pose, you can move the kind of pauldrons out of the way, just get it a little bit more vertical, bring it down. You don't have to take anything apart, changing the the angle of this, of the head of it, or if you want it to come down the other way, you don't have to pull things out and reinsert them. So I always appreciate when they do that with weapons, and they actually have swivels on them to give you just a little bit more range of motion without having to disassemble and reassemble. The recommended assembly for Unity is with Terak, but before I show you that, I want to upgrade to the golden mask here, which has gold as the base color, and then it just goes straight back into the transparent purple again, and that just completely fits in with the color scheme of the entire character, and I think actually fits in much better than his normal mask, which has the black and the silver, which only kind of tie into the weapon a little bit, but not much of anything else. Bringing Terak into the picture, as usual, connect him on the back. There is a little bit of issue with just the spacing of the pauldrons here. You want to make sure that those aren't back too far, because they do have some range to kind of move forward and back, but you can bring the paws over the top and kind of unify the shoulders together. Now that will limit your range of motion if you start trying to do things with your arms. As you saw, I had to move those out of the way a little bit to get some poses with the arms, but that's just something to keep in mind. If you want to not worry about that, then just keep the paws off, just keep the paws up. But this is kind of the recommended combination kind of pose right there. And once again, with the helmet, with the colors, the colors go right into the Terak headpiece. It's again just a perfect blend, but a little bit awkward looking to me. The head here ends up looking like a Klingon, which is not a bad thing necessarily, but all of this bulk up here in the shoulders is odd. They don't really have any recommendation for what to do with the feet of the creature in this case either. Can try to move some of this stuff off to the sides, flatten it a little bit more, add more breadth, I think, was something that I was really looking forward to with the combination, but it's just so high up that you don't really get that in there. And of course, I didn't show you the action feature, but all of these have the exact same action feature. Doesn't really work for me for the two-handed weapons just in general. And with this one in particular, swinging it side to side, it can be used for some battling, but I feel like a two-handed hammer needs to be swung up and down more, so it doesn't work so well just for me for this particular character. So that's the new version of Onua. I really like the part colors that are included with this one. I think it looks best by far with the golden mask, but I think the Unity version with the Creature of Earth is probably the weakest of the Unity combinations in this wave. Let me know what you think about this Uniter version of Onua. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching.